Hi, welcome to Chad Silversmithing. It's been kind of a long week, so I thought it'd be kind of nice to do something relaxing. One of the things I find relaxing is making bracelets that are link chains, where you have to make your own links. And so I thought I'd do kind of a simple one. I'm not sure what we're going to call it. Maybe a triple loop chain bracelet or something, because some of the links are going to have 3 loops on them. We'll see how it turns out. I think it should be pretty and delicate, and someone will love it, I think. Let's get started. So this is one of my design idea sketchbooks that you can get on my merch store. They all, or most of them, have some useful metalsmithing information on the back, conversion charts, ring sizing guides, stuff like that. This one has flow temperatures of various types of solder. One of the big things I like about them is it allows me to keep track of my projects. Since I started the YouTube channel, I've filled up, I think, 4 of these now. And I have a record now of that I can go back and revisit things to see how I did them, because I can't always remember everything I've done in the past anymore. So they also have this nice dot matrix in the background that helps me to draw better pictures, although you might not be able to tell it from today's picture. Here's what I had in mind. I was thinking I would use some 16 gauge round wire and make some of these links like this that kind of cross over each other into 3 little loops, and then connect them with 3 other links between them. So there's one big one, 3 little ones, 1 big one, 3 little ones, and then I'll use just kind of a store-bought catch for this one, I think. At least that's my plan. So I'm going to make it about 185 millimeters or 7.5 inches long, and it'll be in that range because it depends on how the links all lay out when we connect them. This is going to be 16 gauge, like I said. That's 1.3 millimeters. 18 gauge for the small rings connecting them, and that's 1 millimeter, and that's pretty much all we're going to need, I think. So let's get started. I think first I decided to use 58 millimeter long pieces of the 16 gauge here, and so I cut a couple of them, and I thought we could solder them into rings first, stretch them out this way, and then see if we can get them to twist like that. So let's do that first. Getting a bit of a late start tonight. Feels like all this week I've been getting a late start. So I hope it's okay that I picked kind of a simple project this evening. I do really enjoy making chains, though. The repetitive nature of it kind of allows you to shut your brain off and just kind of get into the process. And that's one of the things I really enjoy about doing stuff like this. So let's get that lined up pretty good. I'm just going to pick solder it. If you're not familiar with pick soldering, it's a great way to deliver solder right where you want it in the amount that you want it. So I'll be picking it up and touching it right there once the temperature is right. If you're interested in my solder and flux and my torch setup, there's some information about that. But let's cut a little bit of this hard sheet solder right now. Little tiny pieces, don't need very big ones. You don't have to pick solder this if you don't want to. I just find that to be convenient sometimes. So we'll just heat this piece up to the flow temperature or thereabouts. And ideally, when we touch it there, you don't have to hold it for very long before it flows. If I time it just right, it just jumps right on, but I don't always time it perfectly. It is really a game changer, though, when you learn how to do that, I think. It was for me, anyway. Clean that up just a little bit. First, let's make it round on the ring mandrel so we get it pretty consistent. So got some wobbles in there. One of the ways you can get rid of wobbles is using 2 bench blocks like this, putting that between them and doing a little bit of therapeutic whacking on it. Get rid of all that angst you built up all week. Now let's normally what I would do is I'd use one of these pliers that are made to stretch links out into elongated forms, but this one is not big enough, unfortunately. I'm curious if anybody knows if they make bigger ones of these. This is the only one I found that I have. But we can use other pliers too, so I'm going to actually use my big bail making pliers if I can lay my hands on them. There we go. So we'll get it kind of stretched out even though these are bigger ends than I want. And we'll do a little bit of manual shaping this way. One thing I've done for this too is using one of those vices that have little pins that stick up and putting it over 2 pins on either side of the gap and just spreading it open, and that stretches them open too. That's an easy way to do it. That looks pretty good. Let's see if we can find the center of this now. Make a little mark where the center is. 1, 2, 3. That should be relatively close to the center, so I think let's put it on this one here. I'm going to use my flat nose pliers, I think. Let's try and twist it over. Twist them both in the same direction. And now I think we're going to have to do a little bit of manual shaping to neaten things up. This is kind of the general idea I want. I'm going to solder it closed at each of these junctures. That looks pretty good. So let's solder that one together. I'm just going to solder it right there and right there. I think I have some solder over here still. I should think, minus the pick soldering, this is probably a beginner-ish sort of project. It's good wire bending practice. One thing you should know about chains when you're polishing them, they can be a little bit sketchy. It's because if you let the dangly parts hanging down get caught up in the wheel, it can wrap around the wheel and get your finger or part of your hand caught in there, and that's never a good idea. So until you've had a little bit of experience polishing, I would either tumble these or hand polish them with a rotary tool or something. You won't get as good a polish, but you also won't pinch your finger off. So, so for the for the other parts, I'm going to use 18 gauge round wire like this. And I think I don't want huge rings, so let's do them on my graduated bail making pliers and decide how big we want them. I think probably about this size right there. So let's wrap some of this around there. We'll cut off a few rings, see how they look. Okay, so let's snip off a few of these. Probably what I'll do is I'll hook one to each end of these bigger links, solder them closed, and then leave an open one to connect each set of links together. So I'm just going to use more hard silver solder on this, but if you're worried about accidentally soldering something together, you can use a lower temperature solder if you'd like. So you can position these so I won't accidentally solder things together. Okay, here goes nothing, huh? So we've got 3 of these links, and then I'll make 4 or 5 of these setups like this with these 3 rings, and then we'll connect them all together with one in the center and see how it looks. And we'll kind of try and get it close to about 7.5 inches, or what was it, 185 millimeters. So I'm going to go off camera and make a few more of these, and then we'll come back and start soldering them all together. Okay, you can see I've got 6 of these now with their loops attached on either end. I just have to start connecting them. I think I'm going to use a little easy paste solder just to make it less likely that I will have to stay up really late tonight fixing things. It wouldn't be the first time. Looking good so far. Okay, let's do the next one. Hope everybody has a good weekend this weekend. Take some time to relax and recuperate from all the craziness. I forgot I was using easy pay solder, and I just used a little bit of hard solder. So you can do it this way if you want to, but you just run a risk of accidentally reflowing something and having problems. But we'll do the next one with easy. One of the fun things about chains is that you can make a zillion different types of link to create all sorts of different looks, you know. And I mean, theoretically, you could make custom chains and never make two exactly the same. But I've made similar ones to this, but not exactly, I think. At least not to my recollection. When I was making links off camera, I sometimes watch other YouTube videos, and I was watching these guys looking for sapphires in, I think it was Tasmania, and finding some really pretty ones. I always like watching stuff like that. It makes me a little jealous. I love finding stuff. The rock animal. Okay, let's use a little easy this time. I don't know if I have any patrons from Tasmania. I know I have patrons from New Zealand and Australia. If you're watching me in Tasmania, leave me a comment. I'm always curious to hear who around the world is watching this kind of stuff. It's been fun to meet so many people from around the world. A couple of my patrons in Australia talk about the sapphires that they find in Australia sometimes. And it sounds like they're really pretty sapphires. Years ago, I went to Helena, Montana, to, I think it was called the Spokane Bar. Spokane Bar Mine, I think, or something like that. Where they concentrate the gravel out of the river, or wherever they're digging it up, because there's sapphires in Montana. And they run it through a concentrator that works by, see there, I need to do it again. You don't actually need flux for this paste solder. I got to chit-chatting and then I lost my train of thought. It was fun because you buy a bag of gravel there and they show you how to shake it back and forth in a kind of a screen sort of thing, and which concentrates the heavy stuff in the center. You go back this way and this way, and when you flip it over onto the surface, then all this heavy stuff's in the center, and you can pick out the sapphires, and there's usually some in there, some garnets and things. Actually, this is one of the bigger ones I found. It doesn't look like much right now, but if you cut it, it would be pretty, although this one has a crack right down the middle. Here's another one. can see it's got that kind of look that sapphires have when they're rough. If you're using my video as a sleep aid, I apologize for being so chatty tonight. Okay. Oops, see, I keep reaching. Force of habit. I keep reaching for the hard solder. I only recently started using any kind of different temperature solders. I used to use just hard for everything because that's the way I learned. But there are times when it's nice to have something that melts at a slightly lower temperature. So, but it's making me lazy, I think. Alright, that's all of the ones I have, I think. So let's see how long it turned out to be, and see if we're within range. Oh, we're a little long even. We could probably just do it with, we could take one of these links off. See how big it's going to be. That would be a pretty good sized bracelet. Although it's good to have different sizes, so maybe I'll just leave it like that. I have a little pre-made. I think I may need to put a 20 gauge ring on the side that connects to this. But either way, let's see if we line these all up. You know what? This is annealed 20 gauge wire. I'm gonna get some work hardened 20 gauge that I had laying around here. That would make for a stronger ring. I just talked about this in a video the other day about work hardening wire for ear wires and stuff like that. This would also, pulling a thicker gauge through a drop plate till it's the real thin size that you want. Also seems like a good process if you want, stiffer jump rings as well. So. Okay, let's see if this opens wide enough to hook an 18 gauge through there. It does. Okay. So I think that'll make a nice little chain. So let's let that pickle for a while. I'm going to take the clasp off, since I'll probably polish it without the clasp and then re-put it on at the end. Re-put. And this ring, I'm going to keep with the clasp since it's pretty shiny as is. So for now, I'm going to let it pickle for a while. Go take a little break on my back. And then I'll bring you back the finished product after I polish it. And remember, polishing chains is a little on the dangerous side, so either have help with that or, wait until you've got quite a bit of experience polishing before you attempt that. So, all right, let me know what you think. Well, we're kind of at that end stage. I reattached the clasp over here, and that's going to work out. That's what I kind of anticipated. I think it catches the light nicely. It's kind of an attractive chain. So definitely on the beginnerish side. So if you've had enough experience to where you feel comfortable soldering and are pretty competent at it, why don't you make yourself a chain? Again, it's only limited by your imagination as far as the kind of lengths you could make. Next time I do one, I'll try and do one a little more complicated than this, though, so you can see some more examples. But check out my chain playlist. I have a whole bunch of different chains on there. So let me know what you think, and I will get some better pictures of this and put it at the end. Well, that was a triple link simple chain bracelet. I hope you enjoyed that one. If you did, make sure to hit the like button before you go. That really helps me out a lot. And I'd love it if you'd also go visit my main channel page. I have 625 plus videos now. I've been doing 3 per week for about 4.5 years. And that builds up quite a bit of content over there. And there's certainly something interesting or useful you can find over there. So watch a few of those. Subscribe to my channel. There's no cost to it. I'd love it if you do that too. It makes it easier to find my videos, and if you hit the bell, it'll give you notifications when I publish them. But incidentally, that's on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Before I finish up, I wanted to thank some groups of people. I wanted to thank my patrons over on Patreon. They are my core group of supporters. They've built this lovely community over there, not only helping me out financially, but creating a place where I can tap into their knowledge source and they can tap into mine and we can share ideas and stuff. It's a really nice place, and I want to thank them for making it that way. I have a new one. Her name is Margaret K. Thank you for signing up. I hope that your experience over there is as good as mine has been. So it's a nice group of people. I think you'll like it. The other group are my YouTube subscribers, and we're at 28,100 and some, which is amazing. Thank you for that. I never in my wildest dreams would have thought I'd have that many people watching my videos, and I do appreciate it. I love the nice comments I get. I meet so many nice people in the comments. I appreciate your input. I appreciate your advice, constructive criticism. All of that stuff is really nice, and it makes my channel a better place. So thanks for the comments. I do also appreciate the financial support. Buy me a coffee, super thanks. Buying my merch from my shop, my ebooks. All of that stuff makes my channel sustainable, and I couldn't do it without your help. So thank you for that. Finally, the video description down below has some important links. There's a link to my Patreon if you want to find out more about the various tiers of membership there. You should check it out. There's a link to my merch store if you want to get yourself one of those nice design idea sketchbooks that I find so useful. It's a great way to keep track of your projects, and you can go revisit them later when you forgot how you did them. Finally, there's a link to my newest ebook, which is 2025's tutorial guide, and it has a page for each of the videos I did last year, and with a link to the video, and it also includes a picture of the sketch I drew, a picture of the final outcome, a list of materials that it took to make the project, stone information if there's a stone in it, difficulty rating that's sort of subjective on my part, and there's some notes that I took about the project, things I might have learned or things I might have done differently if I was to approach it again, whether I liked the project or not and why. Not every project you make turns out exactly the way you'd hoped, and so sometimes you got to write them off. But either way, it's a whole bunch of projects right at your fingertips, and a really nice way to support my channel. So consider getting one of those. They're really useful for having lots of projects. You can even get the 3 years that I've done it as a package deal, 2023, 2024, and 2025. It's $15 off if you buy all 3 of those in the little package link. So, all right, well, thanks for watching today. Take care. Happy silversmithing.